You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a special report here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. Obviously, since Friday, this has been a very busy story, and it's been gathering ground fast regarding obviously Eddie Howe hasn't taken the Celtic job, and it looks as if Celtic have turned to Australian manager Ange Postecoglou, who's at Yokohama in Japan. We, as Scottish football fans, but I'm sure I speak for everyone, we don't know much about Postecoglou, so I have managed to get a hold of Scott McIntyre, the freelance sports journalist based in Tokyo, who's covered Postecoglou's career quite a bit. Scott, how are we doing?
Yeah, hey, thanks for the invitation. Firstly on the show, I'm delighted to be here to try and shine a bit of light on the career and what kind of a coach Mr. Postecoglou is, because it's I've got to say it's a bit of a surprise to me. We'll get into it, but why someone such as Eddie Howe, who I don't understand has really won much of anything at all, was somehow the preferred choice and is well known, yet a guy who's one of Asia's finest ever coaches is not known. It's a bit curious to me. So yeah, I'm happy to be invited to talk about it.
Well, thanks very much for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure. What's the reaction been, obviously, like in Australia and Japan, to the news about Ange Postecoglou? Because it really came out of nowhere in Scotland since basically Friday, when Eddie Howe kind of didn't take the job, and then Postecoglou's name basically appeared out of nowhere. What was it like over where you are? Was there talk of this before Friday, or did you hear anything?
Well, I should say, and you can probably tell from my accent, although I'm based in Tokyo, I'm Australian and have been following Ange, as you said, for a long time. So the reaction in Australia has been huge, as you would expect. The reaction in Japan, it is certainly a story, but I guess just in terms of the peculiar quirks of the way that the Japanese media tends to work, in terms of not really wanting to step out of line with each other, it hasn't been as big a deal until it's actually confirmed and across the line. But it's certainly been reported here without question, and very well received in both countries. The answer to your question, was there any inkling of this before last week, is no, although I know that there's certainly been interest in other clubs across Europe, including in the Premier League, in Ange for several years now. I mean, this is a guy who's had an extensive and highly successful is not even the right word. I mean, he's been a serial winner wherever he's gone. So he's been on the radar of smart clubs for a very long time. It's curious why it's taken this long for a club that's in the Champions League mix to take I don't want to say take the punt, because it's not the right expression, but to bring Ange to their club. Because in my opinion, I worked for a TV station for a long time, and I've covered, I don't know, I think 4 or 5 World Cups live. I've been to a lot of Asian Cups. I've been around the game for a long time, and I've seen a lot of very, very good coaches. And I can tell you without hesitation, Ange is right up there as one of the best coaches globally that I've ever seen, and it's mind-blowing why it's taken this long. And this is a discussion that I think is important to have as well, because why anything outside of Europe is regarded as, it seems from the reaction I've seen online, as a curiosity or as an unknown factor is very strange. I mean, I'm sure that Celtic fans with a long memory probably had the same thoughts when Shinsuke Nakamura came into the club, and he's turned out to be one of the better imports in the history of the club. So the reaction from Scotland is, it's really not just me. I mean, people in Australia, people in Japan have been genuinely, I think, confused by the reaction, because this guy, anyone who's followed his career in any way knows the quality of the guy as a coach, as a man, as a motivator, as a developer of talent, as a tactical innovator, and like I said, as an absolute winner anywhere that he's gone. And again, with the greatest of respect, the J League, in my humble opinion, is of a far higher standard than the Scottish Premier League. And certainly if we look at the FIFA rankings, we find both Japan and Australia ahead of Scotland as well. So I don't think it should be, it's not like you're taking, I don't know, some coach from, Tahiti or somewhere. I mean, this is a guy that has qualified a nation to a World Cup, that has been highly competitive against the top nations at another World Cup, who's won the AFC Asian Cup, a major international tournament, didn't qualify, didn't compete, but won it, and won it in domineering fashion, who's won 2 domestic titles in Australia, including a 36-match undefeated run, the greatest of any professional sport in Australia, and one of the greatest marks in the world. And bear in mind, that's in a salary cap environment. That they operate in Australia, where your hands are tied. And then he's come to Japan, and in his second full season in Japan, he's won the J League, which is one of the world's top 10 leagues. So, I mean, we're not talking about, and again, with the greatest of respect to Mr. Eddie Howe, I want to know what this guy has won. This guy has won, as far as I can understand, 1 title in his career. And the question I would be asking the Celtic board, why on earth is a guy like Postecoglou your second target? This should be the question. I mean, why is a guy? I want to know who is it. This is the question that we ask. You guys are asking who is Ange Postecoglou. We ask who is Eddie Howe, because he has 0 presence here, 0 cut through, and is a guy in 20 years of coaching who's won 1 title. I mean, and not even at an elite level, at a lower league level in England. We're talking about a guy who's won titles in 2 different nations, who's won a continental title, who's qualified and been to 2 World Cups. Why on earth was this guy ever your second choice? He should have been your first, second, third, fourth, fifth choice. And my message to the Celtic fans is enjoy it, because you've got you just got a fantastic guy. And you look at again, with respect, someone like Bielsa, if you look at the reaction in England, was an unknown 3 or 4 years ago. But this is one of the greatest coaches in world football. But just because he hasn't come from the 3 or 4 neighbouring nations doesn't mean that they don't have extreme quality. The thought or the concept that only players or coaches can come from, I don't know what the thought is, only 3 or 4 nations. It's just bizarre. I mean, it's the kind of thinking that went out of way decades ago in most of the world. This is a global game. There are brilliant players. There are brilliant coaches in almost every corner of it. And I think a lot of the reason why the game is being held back from certain clubs in Europe is because they're still stuck on this mentality that there's not quality outside of the ranks that they're familiar with, and you've seen the clubs that are broken with that mold. You look at a club like Brentford, right, getting promoted to the Champions League with what is a Danish manager, right, who's 3-4 years ago would have again been laughed out of town. So the clubs and what Bielsa's done with Leeds is an illustrative point as well. So the clubs that are being progressive in taking these stands in saying we are going to break the way that things have been done are the ones that have been rewarded with it. So, Celtic are the ones that have done this, whereas, any other club in Scotland or Europe could have done it. And it's to the absolute, benefit of those who made the appointment, and the fans who are going to enjoy this football should be absolutely wrapped with it.
Yeah, definitely. See, obviously, where do you as things stands, where do you see this deal being at? Because obviously we've heard the past couple of days, obviously compensation would need to be agreed with his current club Yokohama, and obviously a self-isolation period would need to occur coming to Scotland from Japan. As things stand, where do you think the deal's at?
Yeah, in terms of quarantine procedures, I can't commentate on that. You guys know that, but the deal is done. I mean, it's been agreed. It's been agreed between the club and the coach. It's just a question of tying up, if you want to call it, loose ends. So the loose ends are, as you said, one loose end is the compensation due here. My understanding of that is that won't be an issue at all. As a matter of fact, it's not an issue. And the other thing is just converting the qualifications from the AFC, the Asian Football Confederation, across to UEFA qualifications, which I understand a request has already been made from the Scottish FA to UEFA on that regard, and that should be tied up within a week or so as well. So it's just completing those paperwork / technical formalities, and then I would think within a week or so it should be all ready to be formalised, and he's on his way.
And see, obviously Yokohama are associated with the City Group in a way. Is this? Do you understand this? Is this kind of connection through the City Group? Do you know much about that?
Well, certainly they have their tentacles everywhere. My understanding was done through an agent, not necessarily connected with CFG, but in the way that the game is now, everybody is connected to everybody at everywhere. And I know that he'd been watched. My understanding is for quite a while by Celtic as well. So it wasn't a surprise appointment. He's been watched by a lot of big clubs. Clubs that have been doing their due diligence because, like I said, it's not just on paper what he's achieved, but it's the way that the team plays. I've been following Japanese football for a long time as well, and 2 years ago, the way it wasn't just winning the title, but it was the way that they won the title, and absolutely a buccaneering, a domineering form and fashion, which has always been the hallmark of his teams going right back to the very beginnings of his career in Australia. He's consistently played with this one way. So I think what's attractive is not just the success, but the way, the manner in which the success is coming. I should point out as well, before the pandemic, Man City actually came out to play a friendly match against Marinos in Japan. And after the game, Guardiola went up to Ange and said, "Thank you." He said, "You play the kind of football that I dream of playing."
Right, okay.
So you're getting this kind of praise. This is the message that I want to give to these fans who think that somehow they've got a busted toy on Christmas Day. Like it blows my mind. Like I want to know what an Eddie Howe is. What is this compared to one of the top coaches in global football who is coming to your club? This is all your Christmases in one. You are getting one of the top guys on the planet. And the lack of understanding of this is genuinely mind-blowing.
And obviously, as well, what's the Celtic fans, what kind of characteristics should they be expecting from Postecoglou? Like, what kind of manager is he like in the dressing room? You've obviously said he plays a style of attractive football. He obviously was raved about for how well the team played at the 2015 Asian Cup when Australia won that. Like, what should the Celtic fans expect, kind of on the park and off the park, from Postecoglou?
So as you said, and as I touched on previously, on the pitch, it's been a consistent way of coaching for whatever it is, the 20, 25 years that he's been doing this, right back to the semi-pro days in Australia, through the A-League, through the youth national teams, through the senior national team, through his time in Japan. It's been a consistent commitment to dominating the game, to possessing the ball, to not being concerned about opposition approach or style, not being concerned with the position of leagues or cups or wherever you're at, not being concerned whether you're home or away. You play your style of football, and that's all that matters. And perfecting that is all that matters. Of course, there's been tweaks tactically within that over the years. Multiple advancements, but the basic underlying philosophy is an unwavering commitment to playing aggressive, dominating, attacking football. So you're talking a very aggressive high line. Of course, we're talking playing out from the back. We're talking consistently pushing deep into the opposition half and never stepping back, never winding down the clock, never holding out for points or results. If you're 2-1 up in the 90th minute, you go and make it 3-1 up. If you're 3-1 up in the 92nd minute, you go and make it 4-1, regardless of circumstance, opposition, location. It's that commitment from minute one until the final whistle. It's that commitment that's driven through training, where there's no compromise given or accepted. And it's also a faith in younger players, which has been consistent throughout his career. If you're 16 or 17, you understand tactically how you need to fit in with how he plays. You'll be there playing in the first team. If you don't, you'll be moved on. If you're not technically good enough, you'll be moved on. If tactically you don't or won't understand and fit into the system, you'll be moved on. He's ruthless. He's ruthless in terms of moving on players regardless of role or reputation. You fit in, or you adjust and make yourself fit in, or others will be brought in who can do the job. And that job will be consistent throughout, where every player understands, and there won't be any wavering within the dressing room towards a shared goal and a shared commitment. Obviously,
as well, when this is announced, it's obviously going to be a case of who's going to come with Postecoglou. Has been much mentioned about if he's going to bring any of his own backroom staff with him? Has that been mentioned at all?
It's not been mentioned publicly, but my understanding of speaking to people close to the situation is that, possibly an assistant coach at least will be brought. I wouldn't be surprised if a physical coach is also brought, because the intensity at which he plays, it's very important to have the right people there. I mean, again, one of the characteristics of the team is the fact that they can run non-stop with the ball and crucially without the ball as well. He likes very pacey players, particularly in the front three. Over the last couple of years, he's played essentially with 4 defenders, but the fullbacks are really pushing high and inverting almost as central midfielders. Then 2 6s, 1 8, 2 wings, and some form of a 10/9. But particularly the 2 wingers and the front man need to be very, very quick and doing a hell of a lot of work off the ball. So as soon as it's lost, you're winning it back within 2 or 3 seconds is the kind of mantra. So to maintain this level of intensity and fitness, it's very important for him. I know, very, very important to have the right sort of the sports science and physical coach. So I wouldn't be surprised if you saw someone. Obviously, I'm not familiar with who's at the club at Celtic. There very well may be the right person already there, but that will be a very important role for him to look to fill as well.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as well, Postecoglou will need to get his own players in. Is there any mention of potentially where he could be looking at to maybe bring his own players into the club?
No, I don't know about that, because I think it's far too early in the piece. I'm sure in his mind he's looking at players and how they might fit into the system. But that's the question first of him assessing the squad. And as I said, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't profess to know that of the Celtic squad. So he'll sit down and he'll look at the kind of players that are there that fit within his philosophy. And I don't think it's going to be an overhaul in season 1 where you're shipping 15 players out and bringing 15 in. But I think he'll bring in key players. Certainly. A ball-playing goalkeeper is absolutely essential. Ball-playing central defenders are also crucial. And as I said, real pace in the front three is essential. So I'd imagine that they would be the areas in particular that he's looking at first. Does the club already have players that can operate in this way? If not, let's look at bringing in a couple of players in the, to help bed in the ideology first. Let's make sure that the crucial positions within that are established, and then you can work around that over the next couple of transfer windows in extending it as needs be.
And what's your final message to the Celtic fans about Postecoglou? Why should they be excited about Postecoglou coming in?
Well, you're the luckiest club in Europe. It's simple. I mean, you've got one of, in my opinion, the top 5 coaches in the world game. I mean, the guy is a tactical innovator, the likes of which few coaches anywhere in the world are. He comes with 20 years of unwavering success. Firstly, in a salary cap environment, which you probably can't imagine how difficult it is to be going on a 36-match winning streak when everyone is playing under the same rules. Yeah. It's extraordinarily difficult. Then to do what he did at the World Cup in 2014 against the Spain, Chile and the Netherlands, matching them all the way, then to win the Asian Cup in 2015, then to come to qualify the team for Russia, the Socceroos, and then to come to Japan and in your second season at the club, deliver a team like Marinos, which is one of Asia's bigger clubs, their first league title in 15 years, and to do it in absolutely domineering, buccaneering style. Then to be third on the table at the moment, as they are with a host of games in hand and playing unbelievable football. It's not just the numbers of titles. It's not just the different countries. It's not just the fact he's won at club level, at national level. It's the way that he's got every single team, whether it's the under-17s at Australia, whether it's a semi-pro team in Melbourne way back at the turn of the millennium, or whether it's through to successive A-League clubs with success, whether it's coming to Japan, whether it's with the full national team, everywhere he's gone, the identity has been the same, the way of play has been the same, and the absolute unshakable belief in what he's doing is right and will bear fruit. And to have a coach like this land on the doorstep of your club, it's all your Christmases come at once. And the question from the fans is, you should be burning down the Celtic boardroom and asking, who or what is an Eddie Howe? And why was this guy ever the first choice ahead of a serial winner who's one of the world's greatest coaches.
Brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant to be on, Scott. Thanks very much for your tremendous insight and best of luck. It's been really great to be on.
Yeah, no worries. And best of luck for you guys in Scotland, because it's not just the Celtic fans who are going to enjoy the brand of football that's being brought there. You'll have opposition fans standing up and applauding the way that this guy's going to have the Celtic team playing.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for your time, Scott. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Enjoy the ride, guys.
Thank you.